shad tubes, minnow tubes, soft plastic grubs. Get serious about trout and landlocked king trolling with serious soft plastics from the Fish Hunt Shoot Production store. Little pandemonium here, guys. We got up in really shallow water. I was filming a video. We've been experimenting pulling naked shad tubes, and they are working. Look at that chunky rainbow. Wes is gonna net this fish. That is a beautiful fish. You know, when the fish are tentative, you don't always have to pair your tubes or your hoochies or your shad tubes with a blade of any kind. That was a kind of a do-nothing rig with just a shad tube and nothing else, running behind a trolling swivel. What an incredible fish.
Nice fish.
Yeah, jumped all over that. He's up here, he's looking to feed on shad. He saw a shad tube going through the water, fish on. That fish was 15 feet deep on the lead core, 3 colors out on the hybrid rig. Look at that, right there, pinned right in the corner of the mouth. Awesomeness, he couldn't lay off that shad tube, and what a beautiful fish. Watch that hook. We'll get that fish back in the water here, and we'll talk a little bit about that bait. That trout you just saw westward land, it came on one of our shad tubes, just like that one there. That's not a big surprise. We catch a bunch of nice trout and kings on these shad tubes every year, but what's surprising is the technique Wes was using when he caught that fish. He wasn't teaming the shad tube with a 6-inch dodger. He wasn't teaming it with a 4-inch dodger. He wasn't using a blade of any kind to impart action to that shad tube. Most of the time, I recommend that you pair our shad tubes with our 6-inch Fisheye Pro Dodgers, put it 2 or 3 Dodger links behind the blade, and impart that nice stutter stop action to the bait. Well, up here at Collins Lake, the fish have been very tentative. They're feeding on shad. They're not really interested in spoons most days. They're not interested in mag lips. They're certainly not interested in tubes behind big old Dodgers, but because they are interested in feeding on shad, the shad profile of a shad tube is a very effective offering, and we are fishing it with nothing. We are fishing it completely naked. It has very little action. You get a little tail movement, but that's about it. It's very subtle. Think about a bass pro. He starts out the day with rip baits. Maybe he throws some swim baits. Maybe he throws a spinner bait, but when that bite slows down, the bite becomes subtle. What's he break out? Wacky rig Cincos, 4-inch finesse worms that have absolutely no tail action whatsoever, and he just inches them along. This is the equivalent, you know, in trout trolling to a finesse worm. It's a shad profile bait. It's very soft. It's very realistic. It moves through the water column. It's very unobtrusive. There's no big blade. There's no flasher. You're just moving it very subtly through the water column. When a trout sees that, he looks at it. He says, that's a shad. He grabs it. It feels real. He gulps it in, and it's fish on. You know, don't play follow the leader. You control your tubes, your shad tubes, your hoochies. If the bite is you know, if the fish are being tentative, you don't have to team them with a blade. Now, it takes some confidence. It takes a leap of faith to put this in the water and troll it behind the boat without a blade, because you're gonna see very little action. But sometimes that's exactly what you want. And when you catch your first big fish on it, like Wes Ward just did, you're gonna be a believer. So just remember, most of the time, if you're fishing our FHS minnow tubes or shad tubes, you're gonna want to pair them with a Dodger, but take the temperature of the fish. If the fish are tentative, but you still know that they're feeding on bait fish, invest a little bit of time. Put on a shad tube, run it naked, run it without a blade, 8-pound test fluorocarbon leader, number 6 treble hook, fish on. I don't think we trolled that tube for 15 minutes before that fish jumped all over it. I know Wes has got it back out there now. We're probably gonna catch another fish on it. But that is a great tip that's gonna get you through some tough times out on the water. Extremely subtle for when the bite isn't rip roaring. The fish are tentative, go naked, put on a tube, invest a little time, and see if it works for you. I think you're going to be yelling fish on. Anyway, put that in your memory bank. Use it the next time you're out on the water and you're struggling a little bit. I'm out of here for now. If you want to check out our shad tubes, our iconic lead core rods, or any of the other tackle you see us using and catching fish with here on the channel, go on over to fishhuntshoot.com. I want to thank you guys for all the support. Please hit that subscribe button and you'll always know when we're on here talking shad tubes and more. I'll catch you next time. I'm Cal Kellogg. He's Wes Ward. You can't see him. He's back there running the boat and watching the rods. And be safe out there on the water, guys. I can't afford to lose one fan. I'll catch you soon. Thanks a lot.